Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. We are doing another declutter today. So today I'm starting off with my bronzers. I have quite a few of them here, and I might try to also get like face palettes into this video just because there aren't nearly as many. I have a lot of blushes and a lot of highlighters, so there is a very real chance that those will have to be their own separate videos. It just kind of depends how long all of these different parts take me. So you will know by the time you click on this video whether I've combined any of those or they're all separate or whatever. I personally do not know at the present moment. But one way or another, we are going to start with bronzers today. So I have a bunch of cream bronzers and a bunch of powder bronzers. So I think I'm going to kind of talk about the creams first and then go to the powders. So let's see. First things first, this is from Kiko Milano. This is the Sculpting Touch Creamy Stick Contour. It's not a contour, it's definitely a bronzer shade, at least for me. This is literally brand new in my collection, came in the mail today, so obviously I'm keeping this. On the other hand, this is a stick contour. This is from Uoma Beauty. This is the double-sided contour stick. And on the other side, it's a highlighter stick. I really like this. I don't have a lot of cream contour. As a matter of fact, I have this and then the cream contour in the Patrick Ta duo, and that's literally it. So I'm hanging on to this for sure. This is the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer from Makeup by Mario. This is pretty much brand new to my collection, so obviously I'm not getting rid of it. And I've also been using it a ton, and I really like it, so all the more reason this gets to stay. The Soul Body Bronzing Balm, I absolutely love. This is from ColourPop's like sister brand. I use this all the time. It smells so like beachy and vacation-y, and it's so perfect. Also, the amount of product you get in here for like $14 or $15 is crazy. I've heard people say this is a dupe for the Soleil Tan de Chanel, like the cream bronzer from Chanel. I've never tried that because I don't have money like that, but this is a very nice cream bronzer. Moving on, we have the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. I really like this. It's a really reliable formula. It's very, very smooth, goes on the face easy. As soon as you touch it, it really kind of liquefies and becomes super creamy and spreadable, but then it dries down on the face and does not budge. I really like that tone on me as well. It's very neutral for me, so this is a good one. I've definitely put a decent sized dent in it and will continue to do so. For the price especially, I think these are $7. You definitely can't go wrong. By the way, I use the shade Tan Lines. That's what this one is. Next, I have the M Cosmetics So Soft Bronzer Stick in the shade Summer. This is one of my favorite stick bronzers for sure. The formula is so beautiful and blendable. I mean, I don't use the phrase it blends itself lightly, but oh man, you barely apply any pressure and it just diffuses so nicely. It lasts a really long time because it blends down to that powdery finish, and the shade is, again, just that perfect kind of neutrally tone that doesn't look too crazy on me being a pretty pale person. So this one I absolutely love, so it's staying for sure. This one is the Rare Beauty Bronzer Stick. Mine is in the shade Happy Soul. This is not the lightest shade in the range, but I felt like the lightest shade in the range had a little bit too much of a yellow undertone, and this one is just a little bit more neutral. And it blends out so easily that even for me as a pretty pale girl, I've never had a problem with it looking too dark or too crazy on me. This is another of my absolute favorite cream bronzer formulas, especially in stick form. This is crazy good. It blends every bit as easily as the M Cosmetics, and I think this one's cheaper if I'm not mistaken. I also just love pretty much everything I've ever tried from Rare Beauty, so this one definitely stays. I'm not going to feel too bad if I don't declutter that many of my cream bronzers, because A, I use them literally all the time, and B, I have more powder bronzers than I do cream bronzers. So I want to make more of a dent in the powder side than the cream side. That being said, I actually think I can declutter this one. This is the Wet n Wild, they call it a contour, but it's really a bronzer shade, in the shade Where's Walnut. This is fine. Number one, it's just a little too dark for me. And it's not that I can't blend it out and make it look fine. It just kind of takes a little bit more work than I want it to. and I feel like it blends a little bit patchy once I blend it out that far, just because I'm going from such a dark shade on me to trying to blend it out to like a natural looking bronzer. So, I mean, it's fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. But I think that if you are as pale as I am, this may not work that well for you. If you're deeper than me, though, this is probably fine, honestly. It's a perfectly good formula, just not on someone as pale as me. This is the ColourPop Super Shock Bronzer in the shade Get Sandy. This is the lightest shade in the range, and I really appreciate the fact that it kind of has this, like, pinkier undertone to it. Because that makes it a little bit more fair girl friendly, I feel like. The only problem is that I feel like once you blend and blend and blend this, it kind of starts to just blend into my skin tone. So I feel like I have to kind of dig in here a lot with my brush to get the level of pigmentation I want on the skin. That being said, I really like the undertone, I really like the formula, and I really like the finish. So I am going to keep using this. I feel like kind of with the amount of product I have to use to get the look that I want, I'll be able to actually finish this or at least pan it. And after that, if I were to repurchase this, I would just get the next shade up in the range. So I do like the formula a lot, and I really like how it looks on my skin, especially on like an everyday kind of look, you know? This is not going anywhere. This is the Makeup Revolution Ultra Cream Bronzer. It has just this deliciously creamy, easy to blend formula, and I love the undertone of this. Do you see how neutral that is? It goes on very pigmented. A little goes a super long way with this stuff, but do you see how easily that's just blending out all over? It's crazy. It's just so easy to work with, and the undertone is my dream. And this is $8. So like, yeah, it definitely stays. This is a newer-ish addition to my collection. I got it semi-recently. This is the Tower 28 Sculptino Contour Cream, I guess, in the shade Broad. As you can see, it has been very well loved, used, and abused. It has a very similar texture to the cream blushes, which I also love. Melts as soon as your finger hits it. For me, this is definitely a bronzer shade, not a contour shade, but it has that delicious neutrally undertone that I really like, and it's really soft, so it makes a really good everyday bronzer that I can throw on with no effort. I can just dig my brush in here and go crazy, and it never looks like too much on my skin. So I love this stuff. It's got like almost a little bit of a satiny dewy finish, just like the blushes, which I think is perfect, so this definitely stays. I don't want to do this, but it's time. This is the Milk Makeup Bronzer Stick. As you can see, I have the old version from when they sold the huge ones. This was really nice for a while, but it now smells utterly awful, and it's so stiff and dry that it's like impossible to blend. It's super expired. It's just time. I'm a little bit sad because this is such an OG cream bronzer, but it's time to go. It's basically unusable at this point, so sorry, Milk Makeup. It's been fun. This is actually the e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer. I just got it in a deeper shade. This is in the shade Tan 45N, and on me, it makes a really soft, beautiful bronzer shade. It's got that neutral, almost pinky undertone. This blends out super easily and has kind of a sheerer formula. So for me, it ends up making the perfect everyday cream bronzer. So I'm actually really glad I did this, especially since these are only like $6, I think. And I think I got this one when it was on sale, so even better. This is the Huda Beauty Tan Tour in the shade Fair. This is also such a classic cream bronzer. It is a little bit deep for something that's called Fair, but it's so blendable and creamy that honestly, it works so well. I mean, look at that blendability. Again, it has that neutrally undertone that is perfect for us fair girls. I would not use this to contour, but as a bronzer, it is absolutely beautiful. It dries down to a really powdery finish, so the lasting power is incredible. I see this as like my special occasion cream bronzer. I feel like when I really want to feel extra glam, this is what I reach for, so I love this one. This is the Makeup by Mario bronzer stick. The packaging has started getting a little bit annoying, to be honest with you. See what I mean? It's really hard to get the stick part to twist up without it like coming apart, and that's kind of annoying me. And it's a shame because I really like the formula of this, but it's starting to become a real fight to use. There, my gosh. I finally got a little bit to twist up. I really like this too. It's got a great undertone. It's got almost like a peachy undertone, which again is really great for us fair girls. For now, I feel like I'm willing to keep fighting with the packaging to use it. But I feel like at some point maybe I'd have to replace it if I just get really fed up. I'm not there yet, so for now, she gets to stay to annoy me another day. It's worth the battle for what's inside, in my opinion. I don't know. This is the Persona Bronze Multi-Stick in the shade Dune. I like the formula of this. It's very creamy and super easy to blend, but for me, it pulls a little warm. See, I say that, but then immediately I see it in this lighting, and I'm like, it's really not that warm. Yeah, I like the formula enough to hang on to it. It's not my ideal undertone, but I really, really like how it blends. I like the creaminess. Yeah, I'm gonna hang on to it. I'm not gonna get rid of it just to get rid of it. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Contour Wand. I bought this to work as a bronzer on me. I bought the shade Light Medium because the lightest shade is very, very cool toned and contoury, but this one is just that perfect neutral undertone that I really, really like on my fair skin. Blends out absolutely beautifully and ends up being a really flattering bronzer tone on me. I've heard some people say they didn't really like this formula and that it like dried too fast and blended patchy. I haven't had that experience at all. I've been really enjoying this, and I'm glad I bought this instead of the Charlotte Tilbury because now I don't even feel the need to own the Charlotte Tilbury because I know I like this one. So I'm super happy with it, and I'm going to keep using it. This, on the other hand, I'm about done with. This is the the Nudestix Nudies all over face bronzer or whatever in the shade Bondi Bay. There's nothing really wrong with the formula at all, and there's nothing really wrong with the color at all. Actually, it's a little yellowier, orangier than it's really yellow in undertone, actually. Well, all the more reason to get rid of it, because the packaging pisses me off. It's so small, and the way I usually use cream bronzer is I'll apply the stick directly to my bronzer brush and then blend it onto my face from the brush, as opposed to applying the stick to my face and then trying to blend it out once it's already on the skin. So you can imagine that with a stick this small, it's real pain in the neck to try to cover the whole brush evenly. So it's more trouble than it's worth. So I'm okay getting rid of it. So that was it for standalone cream bronzers. I feel like kind of a good transition item is the Patrick Ta She Statuesque bronzer and contour duo, because as you can see, it has this cream contour on the top and this powder bronzer on the bottom. Both formulas are absolutely perfect. Patrick Ta, for me, never misses, and I love everything about this duo. I don't even contour very often, but I have a pretty decent dip starting to go into this contour because I just love the formula. It's almost like a balm formula, which means that it doesn't look too overwhelming on the skin, and I don't want it to look artificial, and this just never does. This is absolutely stunning. I love this. This is going to be in my collection for a very long time. Now we're going to move on to straight up powder bronzers. Actually, first, I'm going to talk about this because it's definitely not getting decluttered. This is my Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder in the shade Light. This is like a makeup community classic contour. It's my only contour powder, and obviously it's the friggin' Kevyn Aucoin one, so it's kind of the top-notch contour powder, right? I mean, the formula is stunning. I got this for like $15 at TJ Maxx, which I think was a friggin' steal. And I love it. I don't contour all that often, but when I do, this is just a pleasure to use. I keep it in the little velvet case that it came in because it just feels very luxurious, and it's gonna stay. All right, bronzers proper, we're here. Let me start here. This is also brand new to my collection from CoverGirl. This is actually a loose bronzer. It's huge. And so when I say new to my collection, I mean, again, just came in today, so definitely not going to get rid of it yet because I literally just got it. This I am definitely keeping. This is the Nabla Skin Bronzing. Mine is in the shade Ambra. It's got the perfect, again, beating a dead horse a little bit here, but this just neutrally undertone that doesn't pull orange or too yellow. It's just really flattering, and the formula is beautiful. It's like a baked gelée type formula, and it's so easy to build up, and it never goes on too aggressively. I could dig a brush in here and then blend it onto my face, and it would still go on in this light layer because that's kind of just how baked gelée formulas are. I love it. Let me see, what am I like not passionate about? Honestly, this Maybelline City bronzer has kind of had her time in the spotlight. It's okay. I just feel like there are better formulas in my collection these days. It's also just kind of pale and yellowy undertoned for me. Like in the pan, it looks like it's going to be a cooler toned bronzer, but it ends up going on my face kind of yellow, and I feel like it just kind of looks sallow. I never really love the color that this turns on my skin, so I feel like I'm fine to get rid of it. The formula is fine, I just don't love the color. This I have been loving. This is from Jaclyn Cosmetics. It's the pressed bronzer in the shade Skinny Dip. This smells like coffee, which is a huge plus. It was $5.99, how about that? It's a really nice bronzer. I don't know what to say. Like, as powder bronzers go, this is just top notch. It's really nice size. It's got a mirror in the packaging. It's just a beautiful, smooth formula, again, with a really nice, user-friendly undertone for me, which is just luck that I found this seeing it at TJ Maxx. Big fan. I mean, it's a solid bronzer. I know Jaclyn Hill is kind of an iffy figure, but I mean, it's a good bronzer, man. One that I will obviously keep forever and ever is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I don't need to tell you how good this is. You probably already know, unless you've kind of been living under a rock bronzer-wise, which is fine. But if you have been living under that rock, I really recommend you try this. This is just a top-notch bronzer. It's a classic for a reason. So, I mean, obviously hanging on to this. And the smell, hello? You have to have it. It's a necessary staple. I also really like this Revlon Skin Lights bronzer. I love the subtle sheen that it has to it. It's not overwhelming at all. And the tone, again, is just this perfect neutral tone for me. And it just delivers. Do you see that very subtle golden sheen? It never looks overwhelming, but it makes it super easy to blend, and it adds just this natural lightness into your face. It's gorgeous. I love this. Another wonderful drugstore option. While we're on ones with a little bit of a sheen, I also love this L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronze It. I don't even know if they sell this anymore, and also my packaging is broken, but this is huge, obviously. It's got this almost cool undertone, which again translates really, really beautifully on fair skin. And it also has that little bit of a sheen to it. This is a little bit less obvious than the Skin Lights, I think, but it's just enough of the satin sheen to really, again, just make it blendable and add some dimension to the skin. So I love this. I'm sorry if you can't get it anymore, but it's a beautiful bronzer, and I'm definitely hanging on to it. Let me deal with my other busted packaging here. This is the Flower Heat Wave Luminous Bronzer in the shade 1 Sunrise. I am not getting rid of this, even though the packaging is busted, because it's absolutely beautiful. It has a gorgeous baked formula that all swirls together to make this, it's not even really neutral. It's almost a pinky tone bronzer. This would double well as a blush, I think. And I feel like whenever I have kind of too warm of a bronzer that I've put on, or I've put on a foundation that's a little bit too yellow toned, this just kind of brings it back toward the middle ground. I really, really like this. The tone is so unique in my collection, and I definitely want to hang on to it for that reason. The formula is great too, obviously. It blends like a dream. All right, what can we say goodbye to? What can we say goodbye to? This one. This is from Beauty Bay. It's their powder bronzer in the shade Donut. Number one, it's a little deep for me. Number two, it's just kind of got like a rough feeling texture. I don't know. It's just not that. The packaging also leaves a lot to be desired. It's a little deep for me, and like it just doesn't really blend that well. Like, did you see how with the other ones I've used, I was able to blend them out pretty easily, even with a finger? This one left a stripe, and yeah, it doesn't blend that well on the face either. It just looks kind of muddy. The undertone almost looks too. Muddy is the best word I know how to use. I just don't love it, so this one can go. Okay, this one definitely not going anywhere. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Bronzer. I have mine in the shade 250 Light. Absolutely love this. It's a perfect formula, super soft and easy to blend. Buildable too. It doesn't go on super aggressively. Like, it just blends out so easily. I love the undertone, nice and neutral for fair girls. Just so pretty. I could sing the praises of this one forever, but long story boring, it's amazing. If you haven't tried it, you should, and it's going nowhere. This is my little baby mini of the NARS Laguna bronzer. Little bit deep, but it blends out well on my skin, and the undertone works well for me. I also like having this around just compared to other bronzers because it's kind of a makeup community classic. So this one gets to stay, and I just think it's very cute. This one is one that I really, really like going back to. It is the Wet n Wild Color Icon bronzer in the shade Sunset Striptease. I've talked about this on my channel before, and with good reason. It's a beautiful formula, super smooth and blendable, and it also has that little bit of a golden sheen, similar to the Revlon Skin Lights one. This is very similar to that one, actually. I would just say it's a little bit warmer and orangier in undertone, but even as a person who really prefers a neutral undertone and kind of strays away from anything too orange, I've never had this be too warm and too orange on me. So it works pretty well for me. If you're like ultra cool toned, it might be, but for me, it works great. All right, let's do some rapid firing. Hua by Benefit is another classic. The packaging leaves something to be desired. I don't like how deep in there it is, but it's a very smooth, very blendable, very easy to use formula. The undertone is beautiful. It's a classic for a reason. Again, I like having it for comparison's sake, so this one's gonna stay. Another classic that I don't think I could ever get rid of. This is the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer. If you know, you know. You kind of just had to be there. I don't love how hard it is to open the packaging, but it's a great bronzer for the fairer girlies, and it still smells like chocolate. So this is just such a moment in makeup history. How could I ever let it go? It's also incredibly smooth. Like, the texture is so satisfying. And again, the undertone maybe leans a touch yellow, but it's nothing I can't get past. So love her. This is from number 7, kind of a sleeper product. Honestly, I don't hear many people talk about this. This is their powder bronzer in Golden Sand. I love this. Every time I use this, I end up looking at myself and going, wow, my bronzer looks so nice. It's a really smooth, buildable formula. You can see it doesn't swatch that great, but there we go. Build it up a little bit. It's easy to build, nice undertone. It's warm without being too orange or too yellow. I just really, really like how this looks every time I use it, so it gets to stay. Let me get a little picky here. This is the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in the shade Forever Sunkissed. I'm just not in love with it. I know this was kind of a favorite in the community for a while, and it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. I just kind of forget that I have it, and I feel like I won't miss it if it's gone. Like, I can't explain it because it has the qualities I like. It's very blendable. It's not too orange. I like it fine, but I feel like I never think to use it, you know? And I want stuff that I can kind of hold in my mind and know that I will use and love them, and this just doesn't stand out to me. So I feel like this can go. I actually didn't think I was going to do that. Okay, cool. That's nice. This is from Becca, so obviously you can't get it anymore, so I couldn't replace this even if I wanted to, which means that I'm definitely not decluttering it. This is the bronzer in the shade Bali Sands. It's a really good bronzer shade for fair girls. It's got a little bit more of like a chill, neutrally undertone. On the skin, I feel like it pulls almost a touch peachy, which, again, for fair girls tends to work a little bit better. Something a little bit pink or a little bit peachy tends to work better than something orangey or yellowy on people who are fair, at least in my experience. So I really, really like this. The formula is beautiful, and you can't get it anymore, so I'm hanging on to it. This is the Bare Minerals Loose Bronzer in the shade Faux Tan. It's a little itty-bitty mini, but a little goes a long way with this stuff. I'm actually just going to take a swatch out of the lid. And I'll get a little more. Why not? It's going on the back of my hand. This stuff is very pigmented, but very blendable. And so it goes on kind of intimidating looking, but if you buff it in with a brush, you get a really beautiful, natural looking tan with this soft sheen to it. It's very pretty. This is kind of one of my like glam bronzers. Whenever I want to feel extra glam, I'll go for this one. And I really, really like it. Bare Minerals is slept on. We need to all get on the Bare Minerals hype train for real. This sucks because everybody in the beauty community really likes this, but I'm gonna let this go. This is the LYS Matte Bronzer in the lightest shade, which is so annoying because it's way too dark for me. And not only is it way too dark, it's way too orange. I put it on recently because I wasn't sure about it, and I looked crazy. I looked so orange. And it just takes too much working with it for it to not look like that. I have to try so hard and use such a light hand, and I don't want to work that hard. So I'm okay passing this along to somebody with a little bit of a deeper skin tone than mine. Alrighty, we're getting down to the wire here. I think I'm gonna let go of this Catrice Sungasm one. I really like the idea of it. It's got that like shimmery bronzer type thing going for it. The problem is that it's just way too deep for me, and I have to fight with it to get it to not look crazy. On swatch, it's kind of hard to tell, but you know how it is. My pale girls out there can relate. This is just, it's too deep. Which sucks, because it's the shade 01, and I was like, oh, shimmery bronzer, I'm really gonna like this. But I feel like I have to fight with it to not get it to look either too dark, or then if I blend it out too much, it starts to look muddy, and I just kind of can't win with it. So that's okay. I spent $3 on it at TJ Maxx. Somebody else will like it. This one I really like, though. This is the Honest Beauty. This is actually a face powder, but it's in the shade Dusk Reflection, and so it's a little deeper. So it's a deeper shade of like kind of shimmery face powder. For me, this makes an incredible baked bronzer. It is so pretty. It has the most beautiful shimmer to it. The undertone is perfect. Yeah. Did you see how easy that swatch was to blend? And that little soft sheen it has going. Yeah. This is a real gem in my collection. Love this. Just a couple left. And I am conflicted about both of these. I really am. Let's talk. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about the Milani first. I feel like this got some hype on YouTube a while ago. I've had a couple of different shades of it. This is the Silky Matte Bronzer. I have it in the shade 2 Sunkissed because it's a little bit more cool, neutral toned than the other shades in the line. My problem with this is I feel like I have to dig and dig and dig in this to get any pigment whatsoever. And that's partially because I think it hard pans ridiculously easy. Like, looking at this really close up, I think it's hard panned like over most of the surface of the bronzer. I don't know if you can tell, but from here it definitely looks like that. And I am just kind of tired of trying to fight its inclination to hard pan. So I think I'm just gonna let it go. I don't want to fight with it. And if it's causing me more trouble than it's worth, I'm gonna pass it on. So that's what we're doing. Okay, cool. Now we're down to this one. This is the Marc Jacobs Tantric Omega Bronzer. Obviously it's huge, and I kind of find how huge it is to be really annoying. However, it kind of was a moment, huh? I also really like the undertone of this. The formula is really nice. It's very smooth. And the undertone is a really nice, like, neutrally, almost leaning peachy, which, again, is great for us fair girls. So this one I'm going to hang on to. I feel like now that I've made a little bit of space in my collection, the packaging will be less annoying. So for now, it gets to stay. If it continues to annoy me, I can let it go later. These are the bronzers, both creams and powders, that I will be hanging on to. I know it's still a lot, but it feels a lot more manageable. I feel like it's good to make a little bit of space. These are the 3 creams that I will be decluttering, and then there are 6 powders that I will be decluttering as well. Again, not a huge amount. I probably could have decluttered more, but I don't set numbers for myself. I keep what I want to actively use, and these are the ones that I like using. So without any further ado, we will move on to face palettes because I should be able to fit that in this video. Alright, you guys, we are going to go ahead and get into face palettes. Before we get started, I just want to quickly define what I mean by face palette. I mean any palette that has more than one type of face product. Like, for example, if I had a palette of all blushes, that's going to be in the blush video. A palette of all highlighters would be in the highlighter video. But something with blush and highlighter goes in this video. I hope that makes sense. I do have some eyeshadow palettes that also have face products in them, but I'm going to go ahead and keep that in the eyeshadow palette video. With all that out of the way, this is going to take a lot less time than I thought it would because I don't actually have as many of these as I thought. Let's get into it. Starting with an easy one, this is my beloved Pat McGrath Divine Blush and Glow Trio. I am in love with this. I got this on a sale for pretty cheap, and I am so glad that I did. I mean, not like cheap, but cheap for Pat McGrath, you know? This is stunning. It's got two of her blushes in the shades Divine Rose and Desert Orchid, and then this gorgeous, soft, thin sheen highlighter. It's absolutely gorgeous. Desert Orchid is my favorite product in this palette. I have to show you this blush. It is so stunning. It's got a soft shimmer to it, and it's just this perfect, like, peachy color, peachy brownish color, which is like my favorite thing. So obviously I love this, and it's not going anywhere. I am a Pat McGrath girl through and through. This one is from Wander Beauty. It's the Trip for Two duo. It's got a nice neutral tone bronzer and a pretty little like peachy corally blush. I am probably going to declutter this though, purely because number one, I almost never remember that I even have this. I just don't think about it, number one. And number two, it is super old. Like really, really old. I got this in a BoxyCharm like many years ago. And I know powder products don't really expire the way that cream products do, but, or at least not as fast. I know they expire, but they don't expire as fast. You get what I mean? And, I don't know. This is so old I feel bad even giving it to someone, to be honest. So I think this one just kind of needs to, like, go. The quality was okay, but, I mean, I don't even know if Wander Beauty exists anymore, so I'm okay. Similarly, about this one from Cover FX, it's a nice palette. It's got, that contour shade works as a bronzer, honestly. That blush is cute. 2 highlighters, a finishing powder, brightening shade. All of the products are fine formula-wise, but there's 2 reasons I'm going to get rid of this. Number 1 is it's also obscenely old. And number 2, these highlighters are both just a little bit darker on me than I tend to prefer. They just don't really shine on my skin tone the way that I want them to. So, you know, I'm not going to keep it just for the other products in there, especially since they are so old. This I absolutely love. This is the Natasha Denona Diamond and Blush palette. Let me try to show you without blinding you. So beautiful. It has a cream highlighter, a cream blush, this Duo Glow product that's kind of like a combo blush and highlighter. This really glittery like topper, a powder blush, and a powder highlight. Every product in here is absolutely stunning. Her formulas are top notch, and I really need to remember to use this more. I need to put this somewhere where I can look at it more often because I feel like I forget about it. I want to show you this Duo Glow shade, the one that's like a combo blush and highlighter. It's such an interesting like lilac-y color. I absolutely love this. Super pretty and interesting. It's really unique to my collection. I don't have anything like that. Yeah, so obviously that's not going anywhere. I love that. Also, by the way, for my friends who love a good deal, I got that from like the BoxyCharm drop shop. I don't even know if they still do that, but I got that on BoxyCharm for $18. A steal. It was crazy. This is a cute little duo from Shop Miss A. I talked about this in a recent haul video, but I actually really, really like this. The quality of these is surprisingly good for it being $1. The blush is a beautiful shade with a really nice sheen to it, and the highlighter looks super icy, but if you really buff it into the skin with your brush, it ends up giving the most beautiful glow. So, I mean, for $1, I mean, this is great makeup. This right here is a real hidden gem from Ulta Beauty. This is their 3-in-1 cheek palette in the color Santorini Sun. And the products in here are just really top notch. You have this gorgeous baked bronzer that's marbled and has a little bit of a sheen to it. Really good tone for a fair skin. Not too warm and orangey. Really nice neutral tone. This blush looks like it's going to be the kind of cool pink that doesn't do that well on my skin tone, but it translates a little warmer on the face, and the formula is really, really soft and easy to blend. And this highlighter is such a standout, honestly. It's super beaming and bright. I mean, wow. Like, wow. All three of the products are just so good. Whenever I need to do my makeup on the go, like from the hospital or in the car or something, I can just throw this into my bag with a couple of makeup brushes and it's gonna look awesome. So this is such a good find from Ulta. If you see this, I really recommend it, especially if you see it on sale. So this is a little face quad from ColourPop. I don't know if you remember when they released these, if you follow ColourPop at all, but this is in the colorway Sugar Frosted. It has a Super Shock highlighter formula here, a shimmery blush, and then 2 matte blushes. I love the Super Shock highlighter formula, but I don't love this shade. It's just really kind of sheer, and that's not really my jam. I prefer something a little bit more punchy. It's sheer and then also just kind of this very soft yellow gold. Not really my shade. The matte blushes have a really nice formula. They're really, really smooth and soft, but I'm not huge on matte blushes. Those aren't my favorite thing. And the shimmery blush, I hate. I hate this with a fiery passion. It hard pans super bad. It gives off like no pigment, and it's chock full of glitter. Not shimmer, glitter. So I don't even know why I held on to this for as long as I did. This has needed to go. It's just this just was kind of a miss for me overall. And last but not least, we have this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Mini. So this was sold at Holiday a couple of years ago. I'm sure you know, if you follow the makeup release world, Hourglass does these palettes every year, but this was the only year they did a 4-pan. They do the 6 pans every year, but this particular year they did a 4-pan. And they went on sale at Sephora after Holiday, and I decided to give it a go. The products are good. I like them. The formulas are pretty. They give a really nice sheen to the skin. I really enjoy the bronzer, blush, and highlighter. And then this is one of their finishing powders, which delivers a really beautiful, blurred, sheeny look to the skin. So I like all of the products. However, the pans are super small, which is annoying because you can't really get a brush into them. Easy enough to overlook for me. I make it work. I am going to hold on to this because I do like the products, but I am going to caution you, the audience, that if you haven't spent your money on the Hourglass powders, I don't think they're worth the money. I got this on sale, and honestly, I don't even think it was worth the money I paid for it. I have it now, so I'm going to use it because they are nice enough products, but they definitely are not life-changing, and there's no way that 6-pan palette is worth $90. That's my unpopular opinion. Everyone seems to love the Hourglass powders. I think they're okay. All right, so that was pretty quick and painless. These are the face palettes that I will be keeping, and these are the ones that I will be getting rid of. I think that went pretty well, easy enough to make those decisions, so I feel good about it. With that being said, you guys, that is going to be the end of this video because there is no way we have time to do another face category in this video. I have a huge blush collection and a huge highlighter collection. Those are each probably going to have to be their own separate videos. So that's what you have to look forward to next. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like down below, leave me a comment, and let me know what some of your favorite bronzers or even face palettes are. I would absolutely love to hear from you guys. And if you want to see more of my declutter series, my end of year, best of 2023 video, and everything else I have planned for this channel till the end of the year and in the new year, please hit subscribe. I would absolutely love to have you. Until the next one, bye you guys.